Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a raft build. In general, with the exception of maps like Aberration or Scorched Earth, where we don't have a lot of water to move around on, literally my start to the game is usually to rank up enough to tame a trike, somewhere level 50 or more, but your call. Trike's a great defensive animal and also helps me build. With that trike, the second thing I start on immediately is my raft. My raft will be my home for the first couple days till I get to a base spot. I like to start off in a very friendly, safe area in the south, if it was the island, for example. But that's not where I want to permanently build, because there's just not the right dinos I want to get. So I'll get my raft going, build a house into it, a trap into it, which can also be used to transport dinos. I'll sink the foundations to make it a little safe. I have the smithy, mortar pestle, all that stuff in there. And there's a few things I do in my design that really help out as far as not having troubles later. So there's some odd tips there that we're going to throw around. But let's just get started here. Don't forget, guys, if you like the video, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. And there's links in the comments if you want to play on one of our servers. Or you know, just chat or get some other tips and advice. So feel free to go ahead and make any kind of comments you like. Now, first thing I've done here is I've faced my raft forward. That's just the way I'm used to building with it. And driven it out a little bit into the water. That's going to allow me to basically get, when the ceilings start coming back, I'll still have room to work. So let's get out there. And the easiest way to get on the raft right now is just to go ahead and pop into the drive button. First thing I need to do here is lower the sail. I want to get it out of my way, because there's something I need to see, and you'll see that in a second. This little square is a key point. That's a key point for us right now. Now, in order to do this cheaply, because these foundations are going to be destroyed, we're going to go ahead and use thatch for now and switch over to stone once they're countersunk. So this key piece, this first piece, if it's placed incorrectly, you will not be able to get your 9 foundations down. Too far forward, too far back, not in the center, you got problems. So generally I go right about here. It'll usually work out. Let's hope I'm not wrong this time. We get our foundation, we get our pillar. This is what allows us to sink that foundation. You see we have 2 spots. I'm using the Q button to move up and down. That's going to be key. And there's many times this is just going to, you know, arc mechanic, right? It's not going to place correctly. And it did that time. Now we need to remove both the foundation and the pillar before we continue. Let's go again. There we go. Moving along. See how smooth that's going? Again, just rinse and repeat. Get that foundation out of there. And while I'm doing this, I'll just let you guys know some key buttons when building. Or your Q button. That'll go ahead and change snap points for you. Your E button, which flips the piece, you know, inverted or the other way. We'll see it in a little bit. The K button. I love the K button when I'm building. Gives me a better view of things and keeps my player position locked. And if you need to unsnap something, the G button. Now, one important thing to remember, guys, we're demolishing on a raft, right? So imagine if we had almost finished the raft and we're demolishing one piece and we accidentally get into the raft. When you see this going slow, that's got to be whoa, whoa, whoa. Because if not, and you demo that raft, all this work is gone. So always be a little careful when you're working on a, you know, it could be a saddle for a raft or a see, we got no proper drop here. Why? Because we placed our foundation and pillar before removing this one. Yeah? So that's what we end up with, a 0 progress on that. And that's why it's important to always remove it first. Now that it's removed, we'll get our drop. And I'm just about as low as I want to go here. Some people say, oh, it gets dragged on the beach or whatnot. For me, it's more just the style and look. So we're probably going to drop one more. See, I can see a bit of the floor, but not all of it. That's where I like mine to be. So now we're ready to get that stone down. I'll show you the way we're going to do it. And whatever we do not want to remove this foundation, right, folks? So we're going to have to start all over. So let's just attach to it. We'll replace it once we're all the way around. And you see by that good initial placement, we are having no problem at all to jam in our 9 foundations here, which is the max as far as, unless something's changed, that's as many foundations as we're going to get. And we need a bigger raft. We're going to be putting traps, so let's get our ceilings down. And don't forget, guys, I'm using vanilla all the way on this. If you have S+, you won't be able to do the sinking foundations with S+ pillars and S+ foundations. So you're going to need to craft your vanillas for that job. The S Plus just doesn't work in that way. Slightly different mechanic. Let's see if we're night. Alright, that's enough there. That's enough sunlight coming in this early morning. I always prefer to work without the gamma boosted. I just like the way the game looks, but of course we're building something here, so we need to get it done right. Some pieces I just realized I'm missing are some ramps. Hopefully I have some in the base. If not, we'll go craft some. Would have liked to have all the kit ready at the right time, but now here's where it's saying you need more support, right? So the thing is, we can add to this, which is great because it gives us a little more wiggle room to move around on, but once we place that, we can't build on it. So it's really only for walking on, and in order to keep things simpler for me, I'm going to put those at the end because I want to know where the beginning of the places I can build on my raft are. You know, if I put this here and then put a gate here, my ramps won't attach. So the next thing I like to put on is my gate. This is more personal preference, but I can tell you from experience, I'm a lot better off with my trap on the front of the boat and my little house on the back of the boat. And depending on your settings, we can build bigger on platforms here. You can add 2-3 traps and a house on the ceiling. But we're going to stick with the vanilla, so we'll keep it simple. First thing I like to place then is going to be my gate. And again, if we can't get back on the raft, you see this is why our ramps are so critically important. Because how are we supposed to get back on our raft now? Right? So let's go back and get those ramps right away. And I just hope we've got some. I believe this is where Mystic's been working. We might find some. In here. If not. Oh, yeah, here we go. Grab 25 of those. Now these are S Plus ramps, but it all works the same way. It's just that I happen to have them ready. So that would be the next thing I need to do is just get some ramps on that raft to make it a little easier for me to get up and down on it. And you see, had we put those extended pieces on I was talking about, we wouldn't be able to add our ramps here. So, boom. So we're looking pretty great now. That's the kind of ramp a dino can be run up into. Okay. And this is where things kind of get a bit weird. Is when we're trying to sometimes, especially with the S Plus parts, we can have a headache. So like I was saying, I prefer my trap on the front of the boat. And the reason being is I'm not always using my trap to trap. I'm going to be transporting dinos with this raft, including the trike that I would have started with at the beginning. And if the trap or dino compartment for travel or logistics is on the front of the raft, you're not going to run it aground as often. You're going to see your dinos and it's out in front of you. And it's going to be a bit of an advantage because when you run the raft aground, it drags the dino right through the walls and off the raft many times. So if we've got our trap right up in the front, we're just going to have a little bit of an easier time when it comes to transporting those narrow rivers. If you're putting an S Plus gate here, it can be a real snap headache. But these ones fit in pretty good. Now let's check out why I love the K button. I want to get this on nice and straight. I don't have the best angle that I'm looking at. So I'll zoom into the third person, hit the K button. And I get a look at that, I get a much better view of how crooked I am. And I'm not a big fan of crooked. So why don't we go ahead and get this straightened out. I'll hit my K button again. A little turn. A little more. Move her sideways, move her forward. And you can see we're using the lines. We're still not straight. Here in Quebec we say we're crush. We're crooked. Just like the government. Alright, here we go. So that's straight enough for our purposes today. And that's just great. There's the beginning of our trap. Now, here's where we want to be able to trap our dinos and still shoot arrows at it. So one thing I find is if you've got the door frames here on the inside, you can run into trouble with your driver getting messed up and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and load up door frames on the outside. And then this is where these pieces can really come in handy. This is where we're going to be shooting from when it's time to tame something. And we can still walk on here, but we can't build on here. Let's get these door frames up. Things are moving along just great. Here you see where we have the sort of the mechanic of the game where because we're building on a raft or whatnot, I don't know the reasoning behind it, but we're always getting multi-snaps. And your Q button can stabilize things a little bit for you. I have to almost hold it down. In my case, I like to have things nice and straight, so I want the starter snap pieces to be all in a consistent place. If not, you're going to have gaps in those walls. Just looks funny. We need our trap to be at least 3 walls high. See? No good. No one wants that. Someone just asked me. I have a fairly big tribe on this server. We live in districts. There's District 1 and District 2. Ooh. Sorry to hold up there, guys. Gotta always be taking care of the players, eh? That's I love making videos and helping everybody out. Of course, taking care of the players on my server who are good people is usually the priority, of course. And Mr. Raptor, who's been with us a bit, he loves hanging out and talking. European fella, good kid. Spent a lot of time communicating with him. Now, if I keep demoing these door frames, I'm going to eventually run out. And you see the issue I'm having is getting my clip right. And we just can't get it. We'll scrap it for this just to get the job done. But for me, I like to get everything looking good because it's